You feel it, don't you? That subtle shift in the air, a change in the rhythm of your conversations. You once laughed easily, shared secrets like currency, but now, silence lingers. Moments that once sparked joy start to feel hollow. What if I told you that recognizing the signs of a fading friendship could be your greatest tool for personal growth? Imagine standing at the crossroads, where you must decide whether to fight for what's left or let go gracefully. Think back to those late-night talks and spontaneous adventures. Does that spark still exist, or has it dimmed into a flicker? When was the last time you felt truly understood by them? These questions are more than just reflections. They're windows into the truth of your connection. And let's be real, sometimes friendships fade for reasons we can't control. It's not always about betrayal or conflict. Sometimes life just pulls us in different directions. But how do you know when it's time to hold on or when it's healthier to set yourself free? Stay with me as we explore the delicate dance of friendship, the signs that it's slipping away, and how to navigate this emotional landscape with the wisdom of stoicism. If you're looking for more emotional balance, clarity in decision-making, and want to learn how to handle life better, this content is for you. So go ahead and leave a like and subscribe to the channel, because with each video you'll grow stronger on the inside and see life with greater wisdom. Changes in communication. I've been thinking a lot about how communication has changed over the years, especially in friendships. It used to be that a simple phone call or a quick chat over coffee would suffice to keep the connection alive. Nowadays, it seems like the frequency and quality of our conversations have taken a hit. I often find myself staring at my phone, hoping for a message that never comes, or scrolling through old texts that spark fond memories. It's kind of sad, really. Conversations that used to flow easily now feel forced, like we're trying to squeeze conversation out of a dry sponge. When I do manage to catch up with friends, the conversations feel surface level at best. There's a stark difference between meaningful dialogue and the "how are you" exchanges we've settled for. I've noticed that we've moved from discussing our dreams and fears to sharing random memes or superficial updates about our lives. It's almost like we've agreed without saying it out loud to keep things light and breezy, avoiding anything that might stir deeper emotions. Sometimes I wish we could just dive back into those thoughtful discussions, the ones that left us feeling more connected rather than just passing time. And it's not just me who feels this way. I see the same pattern in my friends. There's a hesitance to engage in real conversations. Maybe it's because we're all so busy, or perhaps we're just afraid of what might come up. The truth is, the richness of our friendship suffers. I want to know what's going on in their lives, but when the dialogue feels like a chore, it creates this uncomfortable space between us. It's like we're both standing on opposite sides of an invisible wall, and I can't help but wonder how we got here. Then there's the issue of timing. Sometimes I'll reach out, excited to chat, only to be met with silence or a quick response that feels more like an obligation than genuine interest. It's disheartening. I find myself questioning if they're truly busy or if they're just not that invested anymore. The anticipation of waiting for a reply can be excruciating. It's like I'm craving a connection that's slowly slipping away, and I'm left wondering if I'm the only one who feels this way. Ultimately, I think we need to reflect on how we communicate. It's easy to blame technology or our hectic lives, but at some point, we have to take responsibility for the quality of our interactions. I miss the days when a simple conversation could spark joy and deepen our bonds. It's a reminder that meaningful communication is not just about the words we say, but the emotions behind them. If we don't make an effort to rekindle those connections, we risk losing something truly valuable. Mutual disinterest. It's strange how friendships can evolve, or devolve, as I sometimes feel. I remember when my friends and I used to share a multitude of interests. Whether it was binge-watching a series together or discussing our favorite books, there was this vibrant energy that made everything feel exciting. Lately, though, I've sensed a growing disinterest in the activities we once enjoyed together. It's like our shared passions have faded into the background, replaced by an awkward silence that neither of us knows how to address. I can't help but feel a pang of sadness when I think about it. There was a time when we would eagerly plan outings, excited to explore new places or try out new hobbies together. Now, it seems like we've both retreated into our own separate worlds, each too preoccupied to care about what the other is doing. It's unsettling to realize that the things that once brought us closer are now met with indifference. I've tried suggesting activities, but the enthusiasm is just not there anymore. It's almost as if we've settled into a routine of avoidance, where we both know something's off, but neither of us wants to bring it up. What's even more perplexing is how easily we've shifted our focus to other friendships or interests. I often find myself scrolling through social media, seeing my friends engaging with others, and it stings just a little. It's not that I'm jealous, but it does make me question why we've lost that spark. I want to feel excited about sharing experiences together, yet it seems like we've unintentionally agreed to disengage. The contrast is stark, and I can't help but feel a sense of loss for the bond we used to have. Sometimes I wonder if it's a natural progression or if we've simply grown apart. Maybe life got in the way, new jobs, relationships, or personal challenges that have shifted our priorities. But it's hard not to feel a sense of rejection when the things that once brought us joy are now met with indifference. I think about the moments we used to cherish, and it's disheartening to see them replaced by a lack of interest. It's a reminder of how fragile friendships can be, and how easily they can slip through our fingers if we don't nurture them. At the end of the day, I know I need to address this. It's important to acknowledge that mutual disinterest can lead to a gradual erosion of a friendship. I want to bring back the excitement and engagement we once had, but it requires both of us to invest. It's a challenge, but I believe it's worth the effort to reignite that spark. After all, friendships are meant to be a source of joy, not a reminder of what once was. Avoiding gatherings. I've noticed a peculiar trend in my friendships lately, and it's one that's hard to ignore. It seems like both I and some of my closest friends have started to avoid gatherings and social events. It's almost as if we've created this unspoken agreement to stay away from each other, and it's left me feeling a bit perplexed. I used to look forward to our get-togethers, but now it feels like a chore to even suggest meeting up. There's something inherently strange about this avoidance. At first, I chalked it up to busy schedules or personal commitments, but as time goes on, it's clear that there's more to it. The excitement of planning a night out has been replaced by a sense of dread. I find myself making excuses, whether it's the fear of awkward conversations or simply wanting to stay in my comfort zone. I can't help but wonder if my friends feel the same way. Are they avoiding gatherings because they don't want to face the reality of our changing dynamics? It's not just me either. I've seen my friends cancel plans at the last minute or express reluctance to attend events we used to love. It's as if we've all agreed to put up walls, retreating into our own spaces instead of embracing the joy of being together. I think about the times we laughed until we cried or shared our fears and dreams. Those moments seem like a distant memory now, overshadowed by this growing reluctance to connect. It's disheartening to realize that we're missing out on creating new memories simply because we're avoiding each other. There's a heavy weight that comes with this avoidance, and I can't shake the feeling that it reflects something deeper. Maybe we're all feeling overwhelmed or uncertain about our lives, and avoiding gatherings is our way of coping. Or perhaps it's a fear of facing the changes in our friendships head-on. Whatever the reason, it's clear that this behavior is creating a rift that's hard to bridge. I want to reclaim those moments of connection, but it feels like we're all stuck in this pattern of avoidance. I realize that breaking this cycle will take effort from all sides. It's not enough for me to want to reconnect. I need my friends to be on the same page. Maybe we need to have an open conversation about what's been happening, and why we've all been hesitant to gather. Acknowledging the elephant in the room could be the first step toward healing and rebuilding the bonds that have started to fray. After all, friendships thrive on connection, and it's time to break down those walls we've built. Cold or superficial responses. One of the most challenging aspects of my friendships lately has been the shift toward cold or superficial responses. It's as if we've traded in our warmth for a robotic exchange of pleasantries. I can't tell you how often I've reached out to a friend, excited to share something meaningful, only to be met with a one-word reply or an emoji that lacks any real emotion. It's frustrating and disheartening, and it leaves me questioning whether they truly care about what I'm saying. It's not just me, I see it in our group as a whole. Conversations that used to be rich and engaging now feel like a chore. I find myself pouring my heart out, only to receive a curt response that feels more like an obligation than genuine interest. It's heartbreaking because I know there's so much more beneath the surface, and yet we seem to be skimming the top, avoiding any depth that could bring us closer together. I'm left wondering if we've all become so accustomed to texting and social media that we've forgotten how to have real conversations. I often think about the times when we would spend hours talking, exploring each other's thoughts and feelings. Those conversations had depth and meaning, and they made me feel understood. Now it's like we're all in a rush to get through our exchanges, as if we're checking off a box instead of nurturing a friendship. I miss the days when I could share a vulnerability and be met with empathy and understanding. Instead, I'm met with silence or a terse reply, and it feels like a wall has been erected between us. This shift in communication style is not just about the words we use, it's indicative of a larger issue. It may reflect our individual struggles. Comparison with other friendships. There's this nagging feeling that creeps in when you start comparing your friendships with others. It's like a dark cloud hovering over what used to be a bright, sunny day. I catch myself scrolling through social media, seeing my friends hanging out with other people, laughing and having a great time. And there I am, feeling left out, wondering why my friendship seems to lack that spark. It's not that I want anyone to fail, it's just that sometimes it feels like I'm missing out on something better, something more fulfilling. When I think back to the moments we shared, I can't help but feel a pang of disappointment. Those late-night talks, the spontaneous road trips, they all seem to fade into the background when I see others enjoying similar experiences, maybe even more profound connections. This comparison isn't just a fleeting thought. It lingers, festering in the back of my mind, making me question the worth of our bond. I wonder if I'm not as important to him as I once believed. It's a bitter pill to swallow, realizing that the camaraderie we had might not hold the same weight anymore. I start to analyze every interaction, every laugh we shared. Was it genuine, or was I just fooling myself into thinking we had something special? I often find myself measuring our friendship against others, and with each comparison I feel more and more inadequate. It's a toxic cycle that pulls me down, leaving me feeling isolated and disheartened. The joy we used to share feels overshadowed by the constant reminder that maybe he's moved on to greener pastures, or maybe he just doesn't value our friendship as much as I do. And then there's that moment when I realize it's not just me feeling this way. He's also been reaching out to others, engaging in new friendships that seem to fill the void I can't seem to occupy anymore. It's as if we're both drifting in separate directions, and the more I see him connecting with others, the more I feel that our friendship is slipping through my fingers. The memories linger, but they're tainted by the fear of inadequacy and the overwhelming sense of being replaced. So, here I am, caught in this whirlwind of emotions, grappling with the reality that maybe our friendship isn't as valuable as it once was. It's a hard truth to accept, especially when it feels like I'm losing a part of myself in the process. The comparison game is cruel, and it takes a toll on me, making me question not just our friendship but also my worth as a friend. Lack of emotional support. There are moments in life when you really need someone to lean on, someone who will be there for you unconditionally. But lately I've noticed that when I'm going through tough times, be it a breakup, job loss, or family issues, he's nowhere to be found. It's like a door has been shut and I'm left standing outside, feeling vulnerable and exposed. I can't help but wonder if I've become an inconvenience, or if my struggles are simply not worth his time anymore. When I think back to the times I've supported him, it stings even more. I was always there, listening, comforting, and providing a shoulder to cry on. But now, when the tables are turned, it feels like I'm met with silence. I try to reach out to share what I'm going through, but the responses are lukewarm at best. I don't expect grand gestures, but a simple, heartfelt acknowledgement would mean the world. Instead, I'm met with indifference, which makes me question the depth of our friendship. Being there for someone is part of what makes a friendship strong, right? So, when I find myself navigating these turbulent waters alone, it's hard not to feel a sense of betrayal. It's as if the emotional investment I put into our relationship was one-sided, and that realization stings more than I'd like to admit. I start to wonder if he even cares about what I'm going through or if he's too wrapped up in his own life to notice my struggles. As time goes on, this lack of support chips away at my self-esteem. I start to feel unworthy of friendship, as though I'm somehow less deserving of compassion and understanding. I can't help but think that if he truly valued me, he would make an effort to be there during my times of need. The absence of that emotional safety net leaves me feeling isolated, and it becomes increasingly difficult to reach out again, fearing rejection or apathy. It's a painful realization that friendships can sometimes falter when it matters most. The lack of emotional support transforms the way I view our relationship, turning it from a source of comfort into a reminder of what's missing. I begin to wonder if it's time to reassess the friendship altogether. After all, friendship should uplift us, not leave us feeling more alone. Feelings of devaluation. There's a creeping sense of worthlessness that starts to settle in when you feel devalued in a friendship. It's a feeling that gnaws at your self-esteem, making you question your place in someone's life. I can't shake the feeling that I've become an afterthought, a convenience rather than a cherished friend. It's disheartening to say the least, and it leaves me feeling small and insignificant. When I reflect on our conversations, I notice the subtle shifts. Words that once flowed freely are now replaced by awkward silences or worse, dismissive remarks. I find myself doubting my importance in his life, as if my thoughts and feelings are no longer worthy of consideration. The laughter we once shared feels forced, and the connection that used to be so vibrant seems to fade into the background, leaving me wondering if I've done something to warrant this shift. It's not just about feeling neglected, it's about the deeper implications of that neglect. I start to internalize these feelings, believing that maybe I'm not as likable or interesting as I once thought. I replay our interactions in my head, searching for signs of affection or validation that just aren't there anymore. Each time he brushes off my attempts at connection, it feels like another layer of worth is stripped away, leaving me exposed and vulnerable. I try to rationalize it, telling myself that maybe he's just busy or going through his own issues. But the truth is, it's hard to ignore the feeling of being sidelined. I find myself questioning the foundation of our friendship. Was it ever as strong as I believed it to be? Or was I simply fooling myself into thinking I mattered? It's a painful spiral of self-doubt that I can't seem to escape. As these feelings of devaluation settle in, I start to wonder if it's time to reevaluate what this friendship means to me. I deserve to be valued, to feel like my presence holds significance. And if that's not happening, then perhaps it's time for me to take a step back and prioritize my well-being. After all, friendship should be a source of joy, not a constant reminder of my perceived inadequacies. Difficulty in sharing feelings. Opening up about personal feelings is a vulnerable act, one that requires trust and emotional safety. But lately I found myself hesitating to share what's on my mind, feeling a strange wall between us. It's as if the very act of expressing my emotions has become a daunting task, and I can't quite put my finger on why. The conversations that once flowed effortlessly now feel stilted, as if I'm afraid of overstepping some unspoken boundary. I remember a time when I could pour my heart out without fear of judgment. We used to have those deep conversations that lasted for hours, where we'd dissect our thoughts and feelings without hesitation. But now I find myself second-guessing every word, worrying about how he might react. It's like I'm walking on eggshells, trying to gauge his mood before I dare to share something personal. The fear of being dismissed or misunderstood looms large, causing me to retreat into myself. In moments of crisis, I crave understanding and empathy, yet I feel like I have to censor my emotions. I wonder if he's even interested in hearing what I have to say anymore. The more I hold back, the more I feel the distance growing between us. It's a frustrating paradox. The very person I want to confide in is the one I feel I can't approach. I start to question whether this friendship is worth the emotional toll it's taking on me. The struggle to share my feelings weighs heavily on me. I miss the days when I could reach out without hesitation, knowing that my thoughts would be met with kindness and understanding. Now it feels like I'm carrying this burden alone, which only deepens my sense of isolation. It's as if our once vibrant emotional connection has dulled, leaving me yearning for the intimacy we once had. I realize that the longer I keep my feelings bottled up, the harder it becomes to bridge the gap. The fear of vulnerability is paralyzing, and it makes me question whether I should continue to invest in this friendship. I want to be open and honest, but the roadblocks seem insurmountable. If I can't share my true self, what's the point of holding on to something that no longer feels authentic? Changes in personal life. Life has a funny way of throwing curveballs at us, making us reassess everything we thought we knew. Recently, I've experienced some significant changes: new job, moving to a different city, and even some shifts in my personal life. These transitions have left me feeling unsteady, and I can't help but notice how they've affected my friendship. It's as if the very foundation we built our connection on is being shaken, and we are in a subtle way drifting apart. Priorities differing. You know, life has this way of evolving that sometimes leaves our friendships hanging by a thread. I found myself in situations where my priorities and those of my friends just don't align anymore. It's a strange feeling, realizing that what once brought us together is now overshadowed by the paths we've chosen. I used to think that friendships would remain steadfast regardless of life's changes, but the reality is that sometimes they shift, and not always in a good way. Take, for instance, my buddy Tom. We were inseparable in college, bonding over late-night study sessions and weekend escapades. But as years went by, I found myself increasingly focused on my career and family, while Tom seemed to dive headfirst into his passion for travel and adventure. The last time we tried to catch up, I could see it in his eyes. He was searching for that spark we once shared, while I felt like I was dragging along my responsibilities. It was awkward, to say the least. It's not that either of us made a conscious decision to drift apart. It just happened naturally. Our conversations shifted from shared dreams to logistics of busy lives, and those late-night talks filled with laughter turned into brief exchanges about schedules. I missed the days when we could spontaneously plan a road trip or stay up late discussing our futures. Now it feels like we've become strangers, each caught in our own whirlwind of priorities. I've learned that this divergence in priorities can be a silent killer of friendships. It's not about blame, it's more about the natural evolution of life. As we grow older, the things that once seemed important might fade away, making room for new interests and responsibilities that our friends might not understand or share. Sometimes I wish it were easier to find common ground again, but it often feels like a mountain to climb. In the end, I guess we have to accept that not all friendships are meant to last forever. Some are seasonal, and that's okay. The harder part is acknowledging those changes without resentment. It's a lesson in letting go and appreciating the moments we had, even if they now feel like distant memories. Lack of time. Then there's the classic excuse of, "I don't have time." I can't tell you how many times I've heard that from friends, and if I'm honest, I've used it just as often. It's almost become a default response, hasn't it? Life gets busy, and suddenly those spontaneous meetups turn into a distant memory. As much as we might want to connect, the reality is that our calendars are often overflowing, leaving little room for the people who matter. I remember when I could easily drop everything for a friend. Now, it feels like I'm juggling a million responsibilities, and squeezing in time for socializing seems like a luxury I can't afford. My buddy Mike and I used to have a standing coffee date every Saturday morning. Now it's a challenge just to find a weekend where we're both free. We text each other, trying to find a window of opportunity, but it often leads to frustration and disappointment. The sad part is, this lack of time often breeds a sense of neglect. It's not that we don't care, it's just that life gets in the way. But as the weeks and months roll by, I can't help but feel a growing distance. The more we postpone our get-togethers, the more it feels like we're drifting apart. It's a strange paradox. The more we want to connect, the less we seem to actually do it. Sometimes I wonder if it's possible to reclaim that lost time. Can we find ways to prioritize friendships amidst all the chaos? I think it requires effort from both sides. Maybe it's about setting reminders or making a conscious effort to check in, even if it's just a quick message. Because at the end of the day, those little moments of connection can mean the world. It's frustrating to think that something as simple as time could come between us. I wish I could hit pause on life to make more room for my friends, but I know that's not realistic. All I can do is hope that, when the dust settles, we can find our way back to each other, even if it takes a little longer than we'd like. Divergent personal growth. Personal growth, the double-edged sword of adulthood. On one hand, it's exhilarating to discover new passions and interests. On the other, it can create a chasm between friends who once shared everything. I've experienced this firsthand as I've watched some friendships dissolve because the people I once knew have transformed into versions of themselves that feel almost unrecognizable. Take my friend Sarah, for example. We were thick as thieves, bonding over our love for music and art. But as the years went by, I found myself gravitating toward more structured pursuits, while she began to embrace a free-spirited lifestyle, traveling the world and immersing herself in different cultures. At first I was excited for her, but soon I felt that familiar pang of jealousy mixed with confusion. What happened to the girl who used to dream with me on our long walks home? It's fascinating how personal growth can lead us to explore new values and interests, but it can also create a sense of isolation. I often catch myself reminiscing about the deep conversations we used to have, only to realize that our lives have taken such different trajectories that those discussions seem almost trivial now. It's like we're speaking different languages and it's hard to find common ground. Sometimes I wonder if Sarah feels the same way. Does she miss our old friendship, or has she found a new community that fulfills her in ways I can't? It's a bitter pill to swallow, realizing that the connection we once had might not be enough to bridge the gap created by our divergent paths. I've learned that growth is essential, but it can also lead to heartache when friends can't grow together. It's not that I wish for her to stop evolving, I just wish we could evolve side by side. It's a reminder that friendships, like everything else in life, require nurturing. It's easy to take them for granted when we're busy chasing our dreams, but those connections are often what ground us. I hope that one day we can find a way to reconnect and share our journeys again, even if they look different now. Feeling obligated. There's something unsettling about realizing that a friendship has morphed into a sense of obligation rather than genuine connection. I used to look forward to hanging out with friends, but lately, those meetups have started to feel more like chores than a source of joy. It's a tough realization, and one that I'm still grappling with as I navigate the complexities of adult friendships. I remember when my friend Jake and I would spontaneously decide to grab dinner or catch a movie. Those days were filled with laughter and camaraderie. But now, it feels like we're scheduling our time together out of a sense of duty rather than desire. I find myself dragging my feet, wondering if we're just going through the motions. It's disheartening to think that our friendship has lost its spark. What once was a delightful escape has transformed into a checklist item. I catch myself mentally preparing for our meetups, wondering if we'll have anything meaningful to discuss or if it'll just be small talk about work and life. I miss the days when we could easily dive into deeper conversations, exploring our hopes and dreams. Now it feels like we're merely checking in rather than truly connecting. I've had to confront the uncomfortable truth that sometimes, friendships can become burdensome. It's not that I want to cut ties, Rather, I want to rekindle that genuine interest and excitement. I've started to evaluate whether there are ways to bring back that spark. Maybe it's about trying new activities together or simply being more vulnerable in our conversations. I believe that if we can both commit to reconnecting on a deeper level, we might just breathe new life into our friendship. At the end of the day, I want my friendships to be a source of joy, not an obligation. It's a delicate balance, and I'm hopeful that with a little effort and honesty, we can navigate this tricky terrain together. After all, I value Jake's friendship too much to let it fade away into mere obligation. Lack of empathy. One of the most painful realizations in friendships can be the gradual decline of empathy. It's as if a thick fog has settled in, clouding the warmth and understanding we once shared. I've noticed this in some of my relationships, where the ability to connect on an emotional level seems to have diminished over time. It's a subtle shift, but one that can have profound implications. I remember confiding in my friend Lisa during a particularly challenging time in my life. She was always there for me, offering support and understanding. But lately I felt a growing distance. When I try to share my struggles, her responses seem dismissive, almost as if she's too wrapped up in her own world to truly hear me. It's a heartbreaking shift, and I can't help but wonder what happened to the empathy we once shared. This lack of empathy creates a barrier that's hard to breach. I find myself hesitating to open up, fearing that my feelings will be brushed aside or misunderstood. It's a lonely place to be, feeling like you're carrying your burdens alone while your friend seems oblivious. I miss the days when we could share our vulnerabilities without fear of judgment or indifference. Sometimes I think back to the times when we would sit for hours talking about everything and nothing, feeling understood and supported. Now, our conversations feel superficial, as if we're skimming the surface instead of diving deep. It's a painful reminder that friendships require emotional investment, and without that empathy, the connection can easily fray. As we wrap up our exploration of friendships and their inevitable ebbs and flows, I want you to take a moment and reflect. How do you feel about the connections in your life right now? Are there signs you've been ignoring? Remember, recognizing when a friendship is fading isn't a failure. It's an opportunity for growth. Think about it, sometimes the most profound lessons come from letting go. What if that space freed up could lead to new, more meaningful relationships? Have you ever considered that every ending paves the way for a new beginning? Now let's challenge ourselves. When was the last time you truly assessed the friendships in your life? I encourage you to take a close look. Are they lifting you up or holding you back? As we embrace the Stoic philosophy, let's remember, what matters is how we respond to these changes. Are you ready to take control of your social circle? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear your stories and insights. And don't forget to subscribe for more engaging content on Stoicism and life's challenges. Until next time, keep reflecting, keep growing, and remember, every ending is just a new beginning waiting to unfold.